is it going, boys and girls? Welcome back to, what is this?
Key West Waterman.
Key West Waterman. Just totally had a brain fart. Is that what I normally say? Welcome back to Key West Waterman. Why does that sound so weird today? I don't know. That was strange. I don't know what just happened there. We're out here. I got Will with me. You know him. And we're on the little boat. I just got back from a little vacation to see the family for Thanksgiving. We got back really late last night, slept in a little this morning, and Madeleine asked me what was for dinner this week, and I realized we have no fish. So we were making a little afternoon run on the Ginu. It's a lot cheaper to run in this thing. The goal is to put some fish in the fridge for the week. We got the spear guns, dive gear. Don't have a ton of daylight left, so time is of the essence. I'm in about, I think this spot's like 13, 15 feet, something like that. I can't see the bottom, a little murky, but we're gonna hop in and take a peek. Figure we'd bring it along. So I get a ton of questions on guns, mainly beginners. If I'm gonna buy one gun, what would it be? Like that question is impossible to answer. There's so many factors: visibility, where you're hunting, what you're hunting, your ability level. So yeah, I know a lot of you guys ask that, but it's darn near impossible to answer. I have probably like 14 different spear guns. It's an unhealthy obsession. But today I'm gonna shoot this as a 42 fatback koa. Because we're in shallow water, I don't have a reel. I did bring my little gun down there. That's for murky water. But this is going to be my tool today.
Can I ask you about one piece of equipment you bring?
What's that?
What is this for?
That is for later when we don't shoot any fish and we're starving.
Okay.
That's some nice bacon right there. I have a feeling I know where that came from. Madeleine likes to throw stuff off the balcony. Got a strange feeling. All right, let's go diving. There we go. This area is known for dog snappers. Welcome back underwater, everybody. Friendly reminder, or just in case you're new to the channel, new episodes every Monday at 6 p.m. and sometimes on Thursdays, 6 p.m. As always, I'm just going to share some thoughts on some of these dives. This is my first drop. Spooked a little black grouper. Not the one I was looking for, but just a little guy. Love seeing the small ones. It means the big ones are making more. Already saw a small black. So I'm working on some beginner style spearfishing videos. One that I've been really focusing on is a species identification video, and it's something that I haven't yet really figured out how to teach, even with videos or even while I'm in the water. It's just something that you pick up with experience. I think what makes a successful spearfisherman or woman is your ability to identify, size, and shoot a fish very quickly, because a lot of these opportunities we have in the water are little short windows, and there's exceptions to that, but a lot of times a fish is not just going to sit there and let you shoot it. So that's something I am working on. It's taken me a little longer than expected, but a lot of you guys ask for beginner style videos, so like I said, I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. And this is just a little rock pile. These are all natural spots. This is actually one of the first spots I found when I moved to Key West. I've shot so many fish off this spot, it's unbelievable, and it is very healthy. I don't go there and completely decimate it. We just go take a few, and I have a bunch like this, just little rock piles. You can see another grouper off in the distance, spook. Oh, there's quite a few groupers here. I actually did see a bunch, just a lot of short ones. And really, I'm just scanning. When I first get to a spot, before I get kind of down in the nitty-gritty, looking into holes and stuff too much, I kind of just do a flyover, see if there's anybody out in the open. Typically, towards the beginning is when you're going to see those opportunities of fish out in the open. They haven't been spooked yet. They haven't seen you yet. I actually saw a decent dog snapper swim in this crack, so I was kind of checking it out. There just happened to be a turtle in here taking a nap. And you'll see, I'll zoom this in, you'll see a dog snapper. That's the snapper I had seen. And even behind him is another grouper, which looked a little small. I didn't take the grouper, but the dog snapper was being kind of shifty. And I was not able to get a shot on him. I think the dog snappers are kind of like I'll say the groupers of the snapper family. They like to hide, they like being in cracks, they're very shifty. So I got a little off the main rock pile, and there's these couple big coral heads, and you can see these are, they're called look-down fish, if you're not familiar with them. They're razor thin. They're very, very tiny, skinny fish. They look pretty cool. Just the fact that there were so many of them, I always say that action brings action. The fact that there were so many of them, I knew there was going to be something. I didn't know there was. I was anticipating that there was going to be something here that I could shoot, something of size, something harvestable. Just because of all these look-down fish, fish like other fish, they like to hang out together. So I came up upon that, wanted to sit here for a sec and see if anything came in. And this is that same rock, and I do a drop, and I'm looking in, I want to look in this hole because I'm thinking maybe there's a grouper around. A lot of times grouper, if there's anything balled up, whether it's look-down fish, yellowtails, anything, they can, groupers will eat them. They're not picky. Groupers are opportunists. They'll eat anything. So I wanted to look in there for a grouper, and I popped my head out, and you can see all these really nice mangroves. And they were curious as to what I was doing. They came a little close, and I kind of got puppy fever. There were so many of them. You can see there was one big one just too close to make a shot, and I wasn't comfortable with it, so I kind of couldn't decide on which fish I wanted. Then I decided, hey, stop being greedy, and I just picked one and put a good shot on it. And as always, I try to brain and bleed as quickly as possible. And typically I gut my fish. It's just a habit. I think it helps in the bleeding process as well. But because I saw all those snappers, I know they were there. A lot of times mangroves won't hang out for very long after you shoot one, so I wanted to first just get my gun reloaded and kind of get situated so I could maybe make another drop and have another opportunity on one. So I quickly catch my breath, drop back down, and there are some small ones that come in, but again, the big ones are smart. They're big for a reason. After they had seen me and kind of knew what I was up to, they didn't really want to give me the time of day. Just trying to move real slowly, no big movements. You can just see the amount of these look-down fish. It's kind of cool. I've actually never seen them on this spot. It was kind of neat to see them. They're very interesting looking fish. So I did a couple more drops. I didn't have any of the nice mangroves come in, so I wanted to try a trick I use here and there if I'm having trouble getting a fish come in, or just, I don't know, it's the same concept of using a throw flasher for wahoo. And sometimes I'll even use actual fish for throw flashers, but what I did was I gutted that mangrove so it'll sink, tossed it up in front of me, and I'm just going to let it sink slowly and see if it'll kind of cause any curious fish to come check it out. Fish are fairly nosy creatures. You can see there's a mackerel that came in. I hadn't seen a mackerel yet at this spot, and I tossed that fish out and a mackerel came right in. And like I just said, fish are very nosy, and quite honestly, they're looking for food. So if they see something that looks like a potential meal, they're gonna come check it out. So I let that fish sink, and I kind of lay on the bottom near it. You can see some of these bigger mangroves immediately come in to check me out. They're pretty quick, just staying barely out of range. And I'm following this one, and it's not far out, it's just a little fuzzy, so pretty much I'm kind of following its shadow. And it was broadside enough that I trusted my shot. I could see the shadow clearly, I just couldn't see the fish actually. And I threw a shot and got a great shot there, didn't mess up any of the meat. But that's a cool little trick I'll use sometimes, especially with the snappers or the smaller fish. Gut them, throw them, let them sink, and just kind of stay near them so obviously a shark doesn't come in and grab it. But it actually works pretty well in a lot of scenarios. So after dropping those fish off, I came back to that same rock. It just seemed like all the life and all the fish were kind of centralized around that rock for whatever reason. So wanted to come back up here, and I was just kind of poking around. I secretly was hoping for a grouper, but you know me, I'll take mangroves any day of the week. And you'll hear me do that grunt a lot. I don't know what it is. It makes fish curious. There are some groupers that grunt. But I know a lot of places of the world, I hear other people do it, and it does seem to work around here. And here I'm kind of just doing the sit and wait method. I know this is popular in a lot of places, and then some places this is kind of the only style hunting they do. You can see that grunt brings a nice mangrove in. Just kind of wait till he turns broadside and gives me a good go-ahead shot.
Big hog just came in and checked me out. Big hogfish just came in and checked me out. Yeah, there were some nice snappers there. That was cool.
The water's a little fuzzy, but there's quite a bit of fish on that first spot. Saw a few groupers, most of them were small. Was expecting to see more dog snappers. There was mangroves all over the place. We pull the big one out of there. Kind of got puppy fever when they first came in.
There you go, biggest one of the two.
That's still a good one. That's still 14, 15 inch snapper. Look at that thing. Holy crap. So again, we're stocking up for the week. So hopefully this will be our last spot. Kind of slicked out. We're losing sunlight, but I think we'll get it done. Either way, great day so far. As always, I like to keep YouTube land realistic. I know these videos kind of fast forward and highlight some of these trips. Just keep in mind, I did a total of 38 dives on this afternoon. And so far I have 3 fish in the boat. This is a new spot, just kind of scanning, and one of those dog snappers that I was looking for just happened to be out and gave me a good shot. They're very similar to mangrove. Your average person would not be able to tell the difference as far as taste and appearance goes. when it comes to the fillet. Physically, they look a lot different on the outside. They're nice and orange, nice bright color. They lose their color a little underwater at depth and inside the rocks, but I will take these just the same. They are a delicious fish. Just kind of poking around, you'll see about a 50-60 pound Goliath grouper. We see quite a bit of these big ones. I've seen them up to 200 pounds in this shallow. And I come over this hump. There's a nice dog snapper. I just really wasn't ready for him. You can see he immediately goes in the rock. And I'm going to kind of sit and hang out for just a second, see if he comes back out. A smaller one comes out, but it's not the one that I'm looking for. Very shifty, these dog snappers are. And those Goliath groupers are protected. I've said it in some other videos, but a lot of times when I see those in videos, people ask me why I didn't shoot it. They are protected down here. You're not allowed to spear them. That's a species I'll definitely cover in my species identification video when I get to it. And this is me just chasing that dog snapper around. I spent some time on this fish, at least a few dives, and it just kept eluding me. You can see way back in that hole. Just happened to be sitting there and I could not get to him. That one won this day. So that's what we wound up with. I would have liked a little more, but maybe we'll just have to make 2 trips this week for fish. And this is a dog snapper. If you've never seen it, you can see the difference. Very orange compared to the mangroves. Kind of a red and darker color, and they have these little blue teardrops right here. Love the dog snappers, are gorgeous. Well, we're running out of daylight. Got a little bit of a run left. Was hoping for a grouper, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Saw a couple of small ones, but not worth taking a chance. So we're gonna head back and we'll see you at the house. Look who I found. Hi. So this sunset was way too nice not to stop. And the girls just happened to be out doing some paddling with Madeleine. You know Kate, you know Kelly and Madeleine. We're actually gonna be doing some diving tomorrow. Kelly and Madeleine, you're coming? And Will's coming? You're not coming?
I have work at 3 if you want to drop me off.
Kate is working at 3. So we're gonna be doing some diving tomorrow on the big boat on Kelly's channel, so go over there and check that out. This was just too good not to stop. Sponsored by Pal and Madeleine. So I'm actually not going to go over a recipe today, but I did want to cover something some of you may find interesting, kind of how we process and or store fish. Say we have some weather coming up and we know we're not going to be able to get out, or we're just busy, we won't be able to get out and get fish to eat. We'll catch a few more fish than we typically would, and that way we've got fish for the week or so, And we don't often freeze fish. We try not to if we can help it. We just have such easy access to fish. We like to eat it fresh in its best state. But there are some tricks you can use, especially for people who aren't as close to the water and can't as easily get fish. One of the things we do, say I have enough fish for 2 weeks and I don't want to freeze any, what I can actually do is I'll leave these fish in a cooler, gutted and upright like this, just kind of packed individually. And a fish doesn't start to turn nearly as fast as once you take the fillets off. Once the fillets come off and oxygen can get to them, and they have kind of their own juices they're sitting in, that's when a fish really starts to go. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but the fish you're eating at a market, a lot of times those boats are out for 4 or 5 days at a time, so the fish is already a week old before it even hits the market to be processed. So, like I said, I'll leave these fish in a cooler, fillet what we need for those few days, leave the rest in a cooler on ice, and then in a few days I'll fillet those as we need them, and the fish stays a lot longer, stays fresh a lot longer. And once we do break them down, there are other little tricks you can do to keep the meat a little better once it's in the fridge. So I'm a big fan, if you have access to it, to rinsing fillets in salt water. If you have to do fresh water, make sure it's cool fresh water. And I know not everyone has access to the saltwater canal. And there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So one of the tricks to keeping the fillets cleaner longer before they start to sour and kind of get that fishy smell is I try to keep them pretty dry. And this is kind of a sloppy job. So because I just drain these in salt water, I'm gonna just kind of pack them in towels. In 30 minutes, I'm gonna need to change those towels already. It just pulls a little bit of that moisture out. And depending on the type of fish, I'll change these paper towels daily, sometimes twice a day. So in my findings, what makes a fish turn once it's filleted is it's when it sits in its own juice or if it's exposed to oxygen just by itself. I personally think the juice is the biggest factor, but that's just my opinion. And there's more than one way to do this. Sometimes we'll leave these fish whole, we'll cook them whole. Sometimes we'll leave the skin on. I know everyone does it a little differently. This time we're breaking them down completely. So if you've been watching the channel for some time, you know that we eat the racks, the heads, we pretty much eat everything. And it depends on what we're doing that week is what we'll do with them. These racks still have quite a bit of meat on them. So we save those, treat them just like fillets. Typically eat those first. Rinse those in salt water. Now the heads, there's so many different things you can do with them. A lot of times we'll take the heads and the scraps and we'll boil it down, make a stock. Once the heads start to get bigger, there's still a lot of meat in even the small ones. They just get a little more tedious to pick through when they're small. Sometimes we'll use them for a stock. Sometimes we'll just roast them and pick the meat out and make tacos. There's quite honestly an endless possibility of things you can do with them. This time what we're probably gonna do, and actually, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, sometimes I'll cook these down into a stock, pick what meat out I can, and then I'll incorporate that into the pet's food. Tipsy, we have our dog Tipsy, and we have 2 cats, Tuna and Pearl, and they really enjoy the fish broth. So, but other than that, I think that's all I have. Like I said, not going to do a recipe, but hopefully you learned something as far as processing. Biggest thing for me is changing those paper towels, keeping the fillets dry, and it's the same for this kind of stuff, depending on how you're going to use it. Just keep it out of its own juices, and you can get a lot longer out of it. I've had Wahoo, if I've treated it properly, I've gotten almost up to 2 weeks out of it, eating it raw, sashimi style. But any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one. Later.